Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope you're listening to this in a happy place, maybe out on the trails, maybe during a race, maybe like me when you put your earpods on during bedtime and I just pretend I'm listening to the kids and podcast. Awesome, good tune. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to episode 94. We are hurtling towards episode 100. More to come on that later. Run to the Hills podcast, sponsored by Chia Charge. Chia Charge have been fueling adventures. I've got 1 bar left. Tim, I've got 1 bar left. And it's
Red
my
alert.
Red alert. It's my least favorite. Though I like them all. It's the chocolate one, which I find a little bit sweet when mixed with some heavy precision hydration drink as well.
Oh.
And a bit of a sugar. Wow! Anyway, they've been making real food with real ingredients since 2012. Go and check them out at www.cheercharge.co.uk. Get some flapjack down, especially now. There's some big races going on. We've got so much to talk about. I've got what are they, tabs on my laptop lined up of all this exciting stuff.
Messy screen.
Oh, you wouldn't, Gary, if you could see my screen right now, you would die. Anyway, Gary's got so much to tell us. We haven't talked before. Normally he tells me everything before and I have to reenact like a dress rehearsal. But this week we're going fresh. We're going straight in. So you got so much to tell me. What should we start with? Let's start with the lead into the race. The week leading into the race, because there was a big event as well.
Yes, I had my 49th birthday and it was an eventful day, I have to say that. I had a lovely day, actually. I got lots of gifts and I waited until the evening, until everybody was in to open them. So I still had my stash there all day. But in the meantime, I took a day off work and I went to the beach to have a drone day. I thought I'll treat myself to a little play around.
Treat myself to a drone day.
I know, it's such a sad case. Anyway, it went fine. The first bit went fine. And then I went for a coffee. I thought, this is wonderful. I could see the sea, the waves crashing. And then my second trip out with the drone, when you're flying a drone, you get these high wind alerts. It tells you if it's too windy or your batteries are running low. And I was getting all these alerts, and basically, I think it was probably pilot error led to my drone making an emergency landing in the North Sea, and just I laugh now.
So how far out was the drone?
Well, it's because I could see it on the screen. It was high peril. So I could see me on the beach, and I could see the drone getting closer.
This is so
and closer.
weird. This is so as you're flying this drone, you can see what it's seeing.
Live, it's got a screen on
replay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see it coming towards me. But initially you lose sense of perspective. So I would think I was flying it away from myself. So it was going further and further out to sea.
Oh no, it was going, Dad,
What are you doing?
You were like sending it further. And then
eventually it came back towards me. Then it does this, like, it assumes it's not over sea, and it goes into like some kind of safe landing process, but it's safely landed in the sea.
You didn't contemplate doing a rescue attempt?
Oh yeah, I went straight in the sea. Definitely, I went straight in there like a madman.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because it gives off a little a distress beacon, I suppose. So you know where it is shortly for like until it gets completely waterlogged. But as soon as it touches the water, it's gone. It could be anywhere. So I gave up before it was too dangerous. Because I had my phone in my pocket, I had stuff on my backpack. I was properly
You were drone man right there. So could you even see it, or was it just
no, literally gone.
I guess once it's hit the water, it's dead anyway. It's gone, is it?
I think so, yeah. Well, we will find out, because the story progresses. So I had resigned to the fact that it was going to end up in Norway, Saltburn.
Someone was going to pick up and go, "Is Gary from the podcast drone?" I don't believe it.
You do have to tag them. You do have to tag your drones in case you're one of these plonkers who goes and flies over an airport and stuff like that. So you
have to license it, like you do with chip it, like your dog.
I've got my drone ID, my pilot ID on it. So I go home pretty despondent. And Sunday night, I get a message from somebody I don't know, a Facebook message with photographs of me. And I initially thought, what the hell is this?
Oh, how terrifying.
Yeah. So, and the story goes, this family were on the beach at about 4:00 on Sunday, scattering their parents' ashes in Crimdon, nearby Dean. and her partner temporarily lost his drone. And at the same time, my drone washed up at their feet. And they hook the memory. That's it. They get the memory card out and they see what's on it. And through some investigational work, Lisa had a Northeast Marathon Club hoodie on. So that was some of the photographs that were on the drone. And however they found it. But anyway, I got this message from this lady. And today, apparently, it's been posted back to me. But I think the only thing that is salvageable is the memory card. Everything else, I cannot imagine anything
How
else.
lovely of them to do that for you.
Super generous. And to take the time to actually find it. But you know what was really stressing me out? So I'm super pleased it's coming back to me. I'm pretty much, it's a write-off. It's gone. But I had once I'd got over the physical financial loss.
We're talking big dollars. Is it quite big dollars, a drone like that?
Yeah, it was a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money. It's intuitive. So, I am going to get it replaced. So it's not too bad. But then I started having this anxiety that some sea animal was going to swallow my drone. And then there's this battery inside it. And I thought, well, that is like really bad for... You don't eat batteries, so I was pretty stressed out about that.
You just gate crash somebody's wake, and when they're spreading their ashes, that's fine. That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter at all.
Did he find his drone?
He did find his drone.
Oh, what a story! I mean, the drone is dead. R.I.P. the drone, but.
I'm going to try and rescue it because I can't use it because drones it's really drone tech, but drones are assigned to a person. So once I've claimed the insurance, once I've claimed the insurance, I can't invigorate this drone. That's gone. I can't fly two drones because I've claimed on this drone. It's called the Flyaway. It's gone AWOL. But apparently you rinse it with distilled water and there's a chance you can rescue it. But I'll try all that, see what happens.
Whatever. Great story.
Oh, great story. Yeah, it was pretty.
The rest of your birthday, did it pass with hijinks? Yeah. I guess it was the night before the marathon, so no beers.
No beers. No, I'm not really drinking anyway, so no beers. But lots of cake. It was really nice. Lisa made a cake, and last time she made a cake, it was a disaster. So she bought a cake too. So we had double cake. Cake this time round was a success, so that was nice. And then we had the race, Swaledale Marathon, which was good. There was quite a few from Sedgefield Harriers went down there. It's a race, I think I mentioned before, it's a race I've never done before because it's not marathon distance, but it is as good as marathon. Loads of people that I knew there were good. I saw Elaine Bisson on course, and I think she finished just a few minutes behind me actually, and she did really well.
I checked the stats. 3 or 4 minutes behind you. It's all right, Gary.
She got second overall lady, and she was first V50 lady, so she came away with 2 trophies. And Josh Westwood saw him on course and at the end with a nice chat, and that was super good. And I did a bit of podcast admin. I was chatting with a chap sitting beside me called Adam. I think his name was Adam. So yeah, I was. You should listen to the Run the Hills podcast.
I've got something for you actually. I'm going to play this. It's a minute long. Let's see if we can get it on the podcast.
I forgot to tell you about me encounter with Gary. So I was sat there on the banking afterwards, just at the finish line. There's like a grass banking that sits outside the hall, and you can watch everybody sort of run up the road to finish. And I could see this bloke, and I'd seen him in the race. I was like, I'm sure that's Gary. Anyway, I was saying to Laura and her friend that were there, I was like, I'm sure that's Gary from the podcast. I'm like, who the hell's Gary from the podcast? Well, never mind. I want to go and see him, but if he says I'm not Gary, this is going to be really awful. And then I spotted him Sedgefield vest on.
This is an expert.
And I still thought, no, I'm going to leave it. And then he put a Chia Charge buff on.
Yes.
Tim will be proud.
He was, we were chatting away to him for a bit. I said, like, you coached me and everything. And he says he remembered you saying, I think you mentioned it on the podcast, which was, he obviously remembered from that. And we had a good chat. And yeah, top bloke. So I've officially met Gary.
Oh,
Lady, that was a lovely thing to play. Thank you.
You putting on your Chia Charge buff, looking. Hey guys, just branding up now, ready for my race.
Always working. I need a t-shirt, don't I? Go from the podcast.
Gary from the podcast. Anyway, how did the race feel? How did you go?
Oh, awesome. I had a really good day. I was very controlled. I kept it at that mid 130s, and towards the end, I kind of cranked it up a bit.
Done.
Yeah. So I was tired. That was harder than Lake 100 pace. There's no way I would do that for 100 miles. So in a way, it was a bit of a silly run, really. I should have went a lot slower. But it felt good. And again, what was really nice, this in a race, when the second half of the race, when you run comfortable for yourself, you're working, but you're within yourself. It's like a tide, isn't it? The people start coming back to you. And it's a pretty nice feeling. I must have went past 15, 20 people easily the last third of the race. But everybody was nursing cramps and hamstrings and stuff like that.
It sounds like it was crampalicious. Everybody. Was it really hot? Were there not enough checkpoints? What was the...
Well, there weren't checkpoints full of electrolytes and that kind of stuff. There's plenty of checkpoints. Wow, they seem to be coming thick and fast. It did get hot the second half of the race, I'd have to say that. But wind, oh my goodness. Josh probably told you how windy it was. It was wild. For the first 30 miles, we were heading into a strong headwind. And I think it was so strong, the forecast, there was a fell race over in the lakes. Oh, crikey, what is it? Ennerdale fell race that was cancelled because of the forecast was so rough. So pretty windy, but I had a really good race. I think I was top 30 or something, and go again this weekend at Durham Dales. Same again, repeat. Lovely birthday.
We'll talk about Durham Dales later. We'll talk about things. Well, what a lovely week you had, apart from the drone, but it's come back. So all in all, all's well that ends well.
And what about yourself?
Well, I haven't lost a drone, but I don't have a drone. So, because I'm not a middle-aged man. The running's still going well. I had a little bit. I did a 2-hour run yesterday, 2-hour run. I mean, there was quite a lot of hiking, up a mountain, round a mountain, poor Tarka. So we went out and I met with some long-suffering mates. And it took us about an hour and a half to get up the mountain. Then you can either come back like quite the technical route, or you can just come back on the road and then back down the piste. So we decided to come back on the road and the piste to save the old leg. And so that means you're going a little bit faster. And poor Tarka, I've got video, and she was like 20 meters behind, just going, this is like a 5-minute K. I don't do this fast. She didn't enjoy it so much, but she's got to get back in shape now. Got to get back in mountain shape. It's really hot here at the moment. It starts off about like 10 degrees when I drop the kids at school, and now it's about 26, 27 degrees already. What time is it? Like 11 o'clock. It'll be like 30 degrees, which I love. Can't get enough, Gary. I love the heat.
Rex has got a bit of his winter warmth still on him. He needs to...
they need to shed it. I should do some brushing and stuff. Didn't do any Swift, I think, last week. I know people will be shocked. I was single parenting, and I had 3 nights out, Gary, 3 nights in a week. That's more than in a year normally for Eddie. I had to pay babysitters. None of them were mad for it nights, but commitments and that. Oh God, I can't do that, Gary. I can't be going to bed at 12:30. I can't.
Oh my goodness, I don't like that.
So I was like, right, okay, stress, you've got other stresses. And then I had to be up, and I didn't even though Bryn has to go to work in the mornings when I'm doing the school run, so he's normally gone. There's just one other person there to flip the kettle on. And when he's not here, even though the house is a lot cleaner, it's just, I have to do everything, like a dishwasher, he might have unpacked, you go to the dishwasher, everything. So I was like, okay, I can't do that, my favorite volume. I have to just concentrate on the running and the weights. So that was good. So once I made that decision, I felt better, because otherwise then if I try and do it all, something always gives. So, but I'm back on it now. This week, I'm going to get back on it. So I started with a 2-hour run, then I did a bit of recovery ride. And then this morning, I'm really sorry. If you don't like me talking about Swift, go and find podcast number 44 rated in the charts, because we can't help it that we're in the top 3 running podcasts in the UK. But I did something so sad, and me and my mate, we FaceTimed each other on WhatsApp, and we did like a 40-minute ride on Swift. She only lives down the road. We could have just ridden on.
I love it, Eddie. I think it's brilliant.
But she's down the road. We're busy, you've got to make bang for your buck. Also, our road is shut, as is the whole of Morzine, because the Tour de France is coming here. And I don't know if you know this, but wherever the Tour de France rides, wherever they re-tarmac all the roads. So the riders ride on beautifully re-tarmac roads. So the whole of Morzine is being re-tarmac. They redo all the pavements, they redo all the roundabouts. And so at the moment, Morzine's shut. So you can't can't get anywhere. Anyway, digress. So we met up on Zwift and we chatted, as that's really the reason why I love doing exercise, because I see my friends and we chat. And then we did a bike race together. We didn't chat during that. I said, we can't even have a video on because if you see my face. So we left each other like looking perfectly normal chatting. And then like with 3 minutes to go, we were like, okay, let's get serious now. And then we did the race and she was constantly like 20 seconds. We were practicing. In these races, you have to go out at like 500, 600 watts in the first like 20, 30 seconds in order to hold the group. And then once you hold the group, you're like, okay. So we went out and we were like in the group and I was like, we're in the group, we're in the race. We went around this corner and we just got dropped. And then it's just like a solo horrendous all by yourself, basically. So she was like 20 seconds ahead of me and then I'd catch her a bit and then I couldn't get her back. Anyway, she's cycle training. I just use it for pleasure. That's how I make myself feel a bit better. And then we redialed each other as soon as it finished. So these like sweaty, big red face, like messes, like no clothes. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, it was at 90 minutes. It was really fun, really good workout, much better than I'd ever do. Even my Zwift workouts, where I work really hard, I think those races, like, I mean, why on earth do you take them so seriously and you push yourself to the limit? I have no idea. It's something ingrained in us, isn't it? Well, that was fun. I'm definitely going to do a couple more of those. And the running is getting, the ankle's still, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's a million trillion times better, but it's not.
You're aware of it.
Yeah, going uphill, I'm still aware of it, which is really hard when you live on a mountain. Yeah. Flat and downhill, it's pretty much there, but the uphill, it's still anyway. As we say, everyone who's followed my progress every week, it's huge progress. 2 hours. We can do a 2-hour run now. That's awesome. And that's all I want, really. I don't really ever care if I never race again, if I never go anywhere, and I just run on my route as long as I can get out in the mountains with all the amazing running that we've got around here. So yeah, things are looking up and we continue, Gary. Move on. There'll be more. Next week, I'll be like, I did 6 hours. Fine. It's absolutely fine. No problem.
I've been a bit light on Zwift. I didn't do any last week.
It's hard to get the, I reckon at this time of year, normally if I was fully fit, I would be doing like maybe 2 half-hour rides on Zwift just as total recovery. It's definitely a winter thing, isn't it? Or a non-racing. It'd be good for your recovery though, the day after, rather than running to.
Yeah, I was super pleased. Actually, I could run after Swilder Marathon, so that was good. A nice little run out with Rex. But yeah, I'm always mindful of this. I'm conscious. I think what would be really awesome, actually, after Lake 100, there's a period where I definitely don't want to be running, but still just keep ticking over.
Yeah, I've got a couple of clients that have just done 100 milers, and now we're going to do who loves Zwift, and now we're going to do a focused little Zwift plan with some races and stuff, just to, you still feel like you're doing stuff, but you don't then feel guilty for not running and forcing the running. That's when injuries happen. Right. Much more exciting than Zwift races with your mate.
Proper races, yeah.
National 3 Peaks. Now, we talked about, was it last week or the week must have been?
But it was going on for 8 days, so we probably talked about it.
I reckon 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? And they did it. We were like, will anyone do that? No one will do that, but they did. They did it. James Parsons. So let's just remind people, it's Ben Nevis, Snowdonia.
Scarthill Pike, then Snowdonia.
Yes, I did not read them in the right order. And they run in between.
Yes.
So, but they can stop overnight if they want. We don't know the stories, but we're hoping to be able to get James Parson, who won in 8 days, 12 hours and 24 minutes, and Trish Patterson, 8 days, 17 hours. She wasn't that far behind, and 42 minutes.
Try and reach out to James and Trish, and it'd be great to hear their story. But did you see the Facebook progress? I thought it was awesome. It really did seem like a group adventure until maybe Snowdon. The pictures that went out were just, I thought, my goodness, this looks...
Do you think James was just playing with them till Snowdonia and then was like, off I go, here I go?
Yeah, just toying with them all. But he's a really good runner, James. So, but yeah, it looked like a great event. So well done, everybody.
We also had the South Downs Way 100 happening, which Rich McDonald, former guest of the show, long time ago, probably single figures of the episodes, won in 14 hours 49, and Beth and Mel broke the course record in 16 hours 49. And Richard very kindly sent me an email all about his race, unasked for, but he just said, I love the podcast, and so I thought I'd let you know how it went. So I will read you a few little I might read you the whole thing. Should I read you it's about 4 paragraphs long, and then if you get bored, you can switch off or fast forward. I'm only jokes, Richard. Okay, so his strategy was to try and set a new course record, which is fair enough. That's not like a big-headed thing. He's that sort of runner. He's good enough, and not make so many mistakes that I did at Thames Pass last year, mainly by setting off too fast. I also saw that Tristan, who won the Thames Pass a few months ago, there's very little mandatory kit that you need. You know, base layer, waterproof, that sort of thing. Just your sort of everyday mandatory kit. So he thought it was a good idea to leave the back exposed to dissipate the heat. So he sewed a big pocket into the back of an old pair of skin shorts. I can't think that that's a good look. I haven't seen any photos from him from behind, but he said he worked really nice. It worked really nicely, and it was able to keep the heat. Because when you watch like the Western states, they very rarely have very rarely run in rucksacks because of the heat. So I'm not comparing the South Downs Way to the canyons, but he said his training hadn't gone as well. He'd managed to run commute. He had in mind a 13-hour goal pace, which was perhaps rather optimistic, but even 14-hour course record seemed unlikely at the point. He was doing plenty of sums all the way through trying to work out how fast also he could go. Basically, he said how much he could walk. It was his shortest winning margin ever by 15 minutes. On the fueling front, though, he actually, instead of aiming for 80 grams carbs, he did a much less at 30 grams of carbs an hour. He did a lot less, and he said he actually felt better on that. I've heard that, from a couple of people who I've been like, eat more, and then actually they do better on less. It is, I think, you want to do more, always try and do more, but finding out what works for you as well. So it obviously works for him. Was it fun? This is his closing paragraph. Not entirely sure. I walked all the uphills, probably more than I should have, but it did mean I didn't completely slow to a crawl at the finish. So the ups were a relief as a good excuse for a walk. Still loving the podcast every week. Keep it up. So I sent a rather rude reply saying, you walked the hills. He burst an Alpha 5 bubble on his trainer. So he's wearing the Nike Alpha Flies. He's hoping they'll replace them for him. So thanks so much for that. I love that. Like a bit of inside knowledge of people's races. And it's always really nice to know when, lots of people to see him and think, the people that run it fast are cruising along and it's an easy day. And it was a really tough day at the office too. So thanks for that, Rich. And get some miles in. Go and get that course record next time.
Good to see John Shield as well, doing really well. Jungle Ultra took the win. And I thought, Gary, go and have a look at his Instagram post, people. There's definitely I thought it was you he was chatting to in his separated at birth.
You separated at birth with the guy with the six-pack abs next to him. Honestly, I had to scroll and go, oh, it's not Gary. It's the guy that came second in the Jungle Ultra. Well done, John. He works so hard for these, doesn't he? Puts his life and soul into those. Always nice to see former podcast guests shining through. Yeah,
I saw Ricky Lightfoot took the win at the Man versus Horse down in Wales. Now, I take this from the ITV website, so I don't know if it's true, but I think he took a prize pot of $3,500 for this, which if that's true, then that is pretty
How many
good.
drones did he buy with that? Maybe like half? Half a drone?
No, you could buy a few drones. But from what I understand, it's like a £500 pot, and when you don't beat the horse, it just accumulates year after year, and then
that's clever.
Yeah, so that's from the ITV website, so hopefully that is correct. But yeah, well done, Ricky. And I thought I'd give the people at Swaledale Marathon a shout out. James Rutherford took the win, 3 hours and 3 minutes. I think they were hoping for a sub 3.
I guess that wind would have paid a price that first half of the course.
That's pretty tasty. It's not the biggest of elevation gain races, but still I think it's just over 4,000 feet. So that's pretty tasty to be doing that kind of pace. And Jess Young for the ladies, 3:45. Awesome running, everybody. Well done.
This week we catch up with Nicola Forwood. Nicola Forwood, you might think, what's that name? Well, remember that name because this girl's got a bright future in whatever she sets her mind to. We talk all about her story and her journey into ultra running, into endurance sport, and how she didn't prepare, and how she completed her first 100. She's truly nuts, but what a lovely lady. Here's our chat with Nicola.
Today we've been super lucky to be joined by Nicola Forwood, who is, well, it's about 4 weeks out, isn't it, Nicola, from the River Aire Ultra. Thanks for coming on the show today. How are you? Where are you? And have you been for a run today?
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. So I'm in Leeds. I'm very well, thank you. Still a little bit tired. I don't know if I've got a bit of a bug or whether that's...
Totally normal. Totally.
Yes, whether it's carried over fatigue. And I have been for a run today. We were a bit late on the school run. So I got my 9-year-old to run to school with me, and then I was already in running kit. So we just carried on running. But I actually love it when that happens, because I think it's a pretty cool way to start the day for 9-year-olds to go for a mile run. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Going up to school, a little bit sweaty, but ready to go.
Yeah, ready to sit down, whereas actually if we'd have driven or walked slowly, then she's not ready to sit down. But after a hard mile run, actually it's all uphill on the way there.
Oh, wow.
She's ready to sit down.
Ready for a snack.
Yeah. And is that typical every day she'd run to school?
Not every day. We did start, when she started school, we started running every day, and that's what we were going to do, but we were just getting there a bit too early. So now we'll sort
too fast.
Well, she was 5 at the time, and I wasn't sure how fast, or, I'm not a pushy parent, so I'll never make her run and be like, come on. I'd rather be a bit late and her love running.
Yeah.
Don't tell the teachers. If their head's listening, I didn't say that, but they made me say it.
Fan. He is a big fan. I know that.
But yeah, so we sort of just walk. It is uphill. So when Poppy says she wants to walk, we walk. And I think that's how it should be when you're running with kids.
That's perfect ultra training, that.
Exactly, I know.
Can you tell us a little bit about your running, not your 9-year-old's running journey, your running journey, how you found yourself on that 100-mile start line?
Wow. Yeah, it's quite long though.
That's good. It's perfect. People are running. They've got a 3-hour run. The longer the better. I love it. 3 hours.
Yeah,
you go, everybody. Buckle down. So
I had that typical relationship with running at school where it was a punishment and I didn't love it. I like sprinting, 100 meters. Yep, great. But otherwise, I sort of didn't see the benefit of running, even though I was very sporty. I didn't see that, how much running would help me in other sports. And it wasn't till I think it was 2007, I attended my first Parkrun. Tom Williams, the COO of Parkrun, was at Leeds Uni, and I was a student at Leeds Uni.
I get it.
So he'd emailed round, and I thought, okay, I'll go and check it out. But it was a time trial back then. So I went to one, and I didn't go back. It was run as hard as you can, feel sick at the end. I mean, it wasn't Parkrun as we know it now in any way, shape or form. So I think I did one, and then went back about 7 months later, tried another one, and again, didn't really enjoy it. I was running about 33 minutes for a 5K, and that was max effort, But over the years, Parkrun pulled me in. I think some friends were doing a half marathon, and my running journey probably tracks the popularity of running in the UK. It has, over the past decade, seen a massive rise, hasn't it? So I did that typical thing, enter a race because your friends are doing it, realise you probably need to do a little bit of training.
Did you realise that after or before?
Maybe about a month before. So I didn't really enjoy the first one, the first half. But I thought I'd heard about this thing called the London Marathon and how hard it was to get into. And I thought, well, probably at some point in the next 5 years, I'm going to want to do that. And I don't know if you remember that you used to have to enter each year, and then after 5 years, if you were rejected for 5 years in a row, you got a guaranteed place.
And you
I don't remember that.
You had to fill out. You had to send it off, didn't you? You filled out.
I never got that place. But that was what, in my mind, I thought, I don't want to run a marathon now, but in the next 5 years, and obviously as a new runner, that was the only marathon I thought existed, the London Marathon. So I entered, but then I got a place that very first year.
Fantastic.
And, so I was like, oh my goodness, what? But then actually that really kick-started my love for running, because I finished that first marathon. I trained hard for it, but I finished that first marathon, not that fast, but having really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I stood at the finish line of that marathon, looking at people crying and having this emotional experience. And I sort of wanted to cry, but I wasn't having the same emotional experience. I was sort of like, I'm not that tired. I've trained pretty hard for this, and I really enjoyed it. And
Brilliant.
I think I had the bug from then, what's next? I need more. Unfortunately, I then had probably like 3 or 4 years that were just ridiculously hard. So my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I think for a lot of years, Parkrun was my one bit of time that was for me. It was the one time I could get out of the house and not feel guilty. It was a set time and place, and I sort of kept that as for my mental health. So I had that relationship with Parkrun and kept that throughout those years. And then he passed away when my daughter was 2, and he was 38. So obviously that was just the worst experience ever. But again, isn't running wonderful? So he passed away on the Monday, and then that Saturday we went to Parkrun. It was actually Poppy's first Parkrun. She was 2.5. Again, let's not tell Parkrun that, because she wasn't 4. Yeah. But she scanned Ben's barcode at the end, and runners came together. It felt like a really positive way to celebrate somebody's life, which I do think we're really bad at in the UK. Ben would never have wanted it to be sad and depressing, and a celebration through running felt right. So I think at lots of periods in my life I've turned to running, and that's helped get me through a lot of difficult times. So then the following year, we'd actually frozen some sperm when Ben was first diagnosed with cancer, and I decided to have a baby, so a brother or sister for Poppy. So I went through IVF, got pregnant, great 12-week scan, and then I lost the baby at 15 weeks. So again, that was horrific. And I won't go into it all, but my dad then passed away the following year. So I had 3 years where just existing felt really difficult.
Oh, wow, Nicola. Yeah, what a 3 years.
Yeah. But I had running, and again, it probably was just Parkrun, thinking back through those 3 years. And sometimes I'd just run Parkrun and just cry all the way around. Yeah. It makes me a bit emotional to say that, actually. But I needed that. I needed just to get out there and run and have that one thing that was mine. So then moving forward a bit, I think it's 2017 that I went on a holiday with a friend, and they had kids club. So I'm a widowed single parent, and childcare is a thing. So I can run with a running buggy, but it's not the same.
Not now. Not now she's 9.
There must be one. I keep thinking in my head, I'm sort of planning these wild adventures where we can traverse a country or something.
A shopping trolley, I think, is your only option.
There must be something. I want some racing wheels on that shopping trolley for when she gets tired,
Yes,
I'm thinking about it.
I think change the wheels, but you need the volume on the trolley, because then
I need all our kit.
Yeah, I need all the kit. She can stand up a bit, get in and out easily. There's somebody out there that can make this happen. Somebody out there that can fashion you one. Anyway. I actually need it. I need it. But yeah, we ran every day on this holiday, and I'd never really, I'd heard of Ron Hill, but I'd never really thought about run streaking. And then, so in 2017, I started run streaking after we'd run every day on this holiday. And that completely changed my relationship with running. Because as a widow, you go from this place in a happy marriage where you make decisions with somebody else, and that's how it works, and that's how you think life is going to be. And all of a sudden, you have to make all the decisions. Yeah. And making all the decisions is really difficult. Mm. And it's energy consuming. Yeah. And as silly as it sounds, something like, am I going to run today? Feels like a big decision. Yeah. And I know it's not, but when you're struggling with your mental health, or you're in a bad place, or things feel bigger than they are, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself to, I need to go for a run, and then beating yourself up if you don't. Yeah. So run streaking took that away. I didn't need to make a decision. I have breakfast, I run.
And then I run.
I wear lycra every day. I'm ready to run. I'm going for a run. And those first steps out of the door, those are the hardest ones. So no, and I took it to being just a mile from Ron Hill. So just a mile. A mile's not intimidating. I could get out of my door for a mile, and often it was more than a mile.
Yeah.
But actually, not having to make the decision about whether I was going to run or not was, just life-changing. It was life-changing. So I ran my first ultra that year.
We're at
but then it's quite a long story. I've done quite a lot of running between then and then running the 100 miler.
Yes, keep going.
So yeah, first ultra, loved it. Really, really loved it.
How far was your first one?
32 miles, and it was called a short circuit. So,
Is that one of the Punk Panther people? That's one of their races too, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a Punk Panther one, and they're so friendly, and I love those smaller local events.
Yeah.
That was just wonderful. Really, really loved that first ultra. And then I think I sort of cheated on running with cycling. I became a bit of my husband, he represented GB at downhill BMX racing.
Whoa.
And I needed to, really cool. But I found all that a bit scary. I think I lived in a place of fear because he was poorly. I didn't enjoy putting myself in a place where I felt scared.
Mm.
Whereas now I love it. I get the adrenaline buzz and love that. But at the time I just didn't. So I tried cycling and I tried riding a road bike. But it felt like it had no brakes because I was holding onto the handlebars at the top, and I was like, there's no brakes. Nobody said hoods, Nicola, hoods. But yeah, I got heavily into my cycling. So I kept up my run streak. But I started, within a year, I had like 3 bikes, N+1. And then
the side of this personality coming out.
Yeah. Well, I like to think that Ben gave it to me, So like when because I needed to get rid of some of his bikes. He was 6'5" and I can't ride his bikes.
No.
So I gave a couple of his bikes to charity, but I just thought I'd ride them round the block before I do. And I just think in that moment, he was in his bike, and that then went into me, and I got a bit of his cycling magic. And it turned out I was all right at cycling. So I went on and won a local time trial league and started winning crit races, started racing for a team, and was like, I'm a cyclist. Who knew?
Wow.
All this time I thought I was a runner.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm a cyclist. Amazing. And I'd entered my first road race, which I was really excited about. And then COVID, it just took it all away, pulled the rug out from under my feet. Poppy then had no school. It was lockdown. I hear you guys speaking about your Zwifting and your turboing all the time, but I just don't. I bought my expensive turbo, but I didn't sit on it. I'm just not. I feel the guilt when Poppy's here. I feel like I can't do an hour or 2 hours on the turbo.
Yeah, it's such a that guilt of, and why we should feel guilty about sitting on a turbo for an hour when the kids are in the house. Like really, but every time when the kids are in the house, I wrestle myself onto it. It's not going to affect their university career if you do a 45-minute Swift session, but it still doesn't sit with me. I don't know why.
I know, isn't it awful? But I mean, it's love. It's because we love them. But it is good for them to see us doing things. But I think the problem was, it's indoors, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the difference was that during COVID, because Poppy was old enough and she was great on a bike, then she could ride a bike and I could run. And so in that time, those 2 years, I sort of switched back from being a cyclist to really rediscovering running. And of course, once things started opening up again, it wasn't bike races that came back. It wasn't big road races. Yeah. It was small ultras that came back first, those trail races, being in the middle of nowhere. So that's what I had access to. So that's what got me then back into running. And I think when the races came back, there was a 48-mile ultra in, what year was this? It would have been 2021. So I did a 48-mile ultra in the April, and then 34 miles in the May, and then a 32 after that. Oh, no, maybe 38. And then there was the Punk Panther put on a race that had lots of distances to pick from. And I'd never run 50 miles. I'd done a 48 miler and whinged at the time that it wasn't 2 miles longer. Totally arbitrary, isn't it? But
yeah.
But there was this race, and there were women entered in the 50 miler, but there were no women entered in the 65 miler. And there's no reason that women shouldn't be represented at these distances. Is it 95 miles or something? After 95 miles, women outperform men. So I entered a 65 miler, and then that was my longest race to that point. But I spent from mile 50 to 65 just crying.
We all do that.
Gary runs, honestly.
It was the weather that I'd never run in such bad weather. It was just wet for hours and hours and hours. And it's the chafing. So all around my waist.
You don't need to even.
No, I'd never, we've all had the bit of an odd bit of chafing under your bust from your sports bra or on your back where the clip is, but I had a full circle around my waist where my shorts were touching my waist. And I'd never experienced anything like that. It was horrific.
In that deep pain moment with the rain and the chaffing, I feel that you probably were still, if someone had said, okay, well, you can stop, you'd have said, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I would not. It's not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really an option. I will, like the run streak, it'll all stop one day. I'll have a DNF or I'll have a run, something will stop me run streaking one day.
You still run streaking now?
Yeah. So just over 5 years in now. Minimum of a mile, every day.
Love you do Parkrun streak as well? Is that something you would do?
I absolutely hate to miss a parkrun. So I really, really, really try not to miss parkrun. It totally pains me to do so. But we did go on holiday for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, just before the 100 miler. Just before the 100 miler, we went on holiday to a country without a parkrun. So I won't let parkrun streaking isn't something.
You chose a holiday with a country without a parkrun.
I know. What was I thinking? But with COVID and everything, it's all a bit. Normally, I would choose a parkrun country. In fact, in a few weeks, I'm taking Poppy to do a parkrun in Copenhagen and then in Malmo in Sweden on the Monday because they've got their extra one. So we're going to go and do that Saturday, Monday parkrun double. So that will get me back, you see, the one that I've missed. So I'm absolutely obsessive about it. But I can miss a parkrun every now and then. I do think it's important not to get too obsessive about these things because it's easily done.
5-year run streak, it's important.
But yeah, do you think about that? I know a person local to me, a guy called Paul Smith, and he is, my goodness me, I think he's like second in the world or something on his run streak. And I wonder sometimes, life after his run streak, do you think about, has there ever been a time when you thought, I just don't fancy this anymore?
Oh yeah, loads of times.
Yeah.
But again, it's normally just before I start my period, I just think I can't be bothered. Even a mile, I just think I can't be bothered, But I know that that's not real. And I know that how I would feel after that would be so much worse. So I just get out and run. And then I'm like, amazing. Yeah. Once I've nearly forgotten. I went to bed and I'd forgotten because we'd taken... So my partner has 2 kids. I've got Poppy. We'd taken the kids out for a really long walk. We'd gone for a bike ride. So I'd already tracked 2 things on Strava. So because I put 2 things on Strava, in my head, I think I'd relaxed and thought I'd run. Yeah. And then it was about 11:15, 11:30. I just drifted off and he just said, have you run today?
Oh, wow.
And oh my goodness. Yeah, I fell in love with him all over again in that moment. I was like, thank you. So I threw on a tri-suit and I got out the door and just quickly went and pegged a mile, and thank goodness.
A tri-suit at 11:30. How was that the first thing that you had to hand, the tri-suit at the end of it? Don't answer that, actually.
It was the quickest. I was like, I've got to get out quickly.
It's a good job you've only got a mile to do for your streak. I know some people have, I think it's a 5K some people have to do. So yeah, well, if your clocks, you've always got about 10 minutes to spare. Awesome. My goodness me.
Yeah, I mean, I've done 5K for the last year. Just I felt like I just sort of wanted to step it up a bit, and and it's been really good. Actually, 3 days in the past year, I have knocked it back to a mile and just tried to listen to my body and be sensible. I think with 5K, although most of the time you're probably all right running 5K injured, or
How was the Run Street Run the day after the 100-miler?
It wasn't too bad. So that was what the 3 days. One was after the 65-miler, and 2 of the days I took 2 days and knocked it back to a mile after the 100-miler, and I didn't feel too bad, but my calf was clicking like there was a joint in it. Like I had an extra and it didn't hurt. Nothing. I wasn't aware of any injury or discomfort. I could hear it clicking, and I thought, there's not meant to be a joint in the middle of my calf. So I just thought, I had some pretty bad blisters, so I just thought,
it would be blisters. That's what I was thinking, was just putting the foot into the trainer. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't personally. I couldn't get myself off the sofa, but you're a much stronger person than I am.
So you feel better for it. You feel much.
Oh yeah, I reckon lots of people do swear by that. Next day, Dean Carnassus does it, doesn't he? The next day he does another marathon.
He does a marathon, doesn't he? Before most of us have dragged ourselves out of bed.
We can't let Nicola and Dean collide, because you'd be like, "What the street do
a marathon a day?"
Yeah, it's quite scary. That's his run streak. Yeah. Could we talk about the River Aire Ultra? Actually, move on to that. Well, I was going to ask you why this ultra, but from what I understand, it was a pretty late entry. So was it just a pure logistical? This was there and it was taken entry still.
Yeah, well, sort of. I'd had it in the back of my mind for a while. I've done a few Endure 24s and Thunder runs, and you see the people getting their t-shirts for 100 miles. So I think it's in everyone's mind, isn't it? As soon as you step into the ultra world, you sort of have that. And it is an arbitrary mark, isn't it? The arbitrary benchmark of 100 miles. And it was going to be in October, actually, this year. There's Punk Panther are doing the River Aire Ultra, the Nidderdale Way Ultra. Yes. They're doing the Nidderdale Way Ultra. And no female has ever completed it. So I quite like the thought of that. Probably not wise to pick that as your first 100-miler, but I had that in the back of my mind. But at the start of this year, I had this awful date that I really wanted to avoid. So I just really stupidly calculated the exact day in my life that, had I been Ben, that I would die. And the thought of that, it was just torturous. I just couldn't. And as it approached, I was like, right, I just need a coping strategy. I need to enter something or do something. I need to be worrying about something that isn't this, because I can't exist in this. So and it was at the end of February. So I ran the date in February, because that's always quite fun and gets me out running every day. And you need to think about what running you're doing. And then I'd seen that there were 5 marathons in 5 days, a Grim Up North event. Actually, they do 7 marathons in 7 days, but at the weekend I had Poppy. So I did these 5 marathons in 5 days, assuming that would break me. I'd never done 2 marathons in 2 days. So I just thought, by the end of that, that's going to be horrific. I'd be crawling. In fact, I'd got 2 friends on the Thursday and the Friday, so day 4 and 5. I'd got 2 friends to come and support me. And they're much slower runners than me. But I said, I'm going to be broken by this point. I'm going to be crawling. I'm going to need you to get me round. But I felt great. Days 4 and 5, days 2 and 3, that was hard. I'd posted on forums and said, any advice, guys? And people had said, day 2 and 3 are the hardest. But once you pass that point, it's great. And that was so true. And my body loved running. It wanted to run a marathon. Day 4 and day 5, absolutely. My body wanted to run a marathon. And it was sad on day 6 and 7 when I wasn't running a marathon.
Yeah.
So I'd got all this fitness from running the date and then doing 5 marathons in 5 days. And I've got a season ticket for a 5K sort of track race. And that's once a month throughout the year. So I raced 5K 5 days after doing the 5 marathons in 5 days. And I didn't look at my watch. I just ran to feel, but pushed a bit, because I thought, I want to know, where's my body at the moment? I don't know. I've never done, that sort of mileage. I think it was like 140-mile week. And I was only 6 seconds away from getting a PB.
Amazing.
And that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I just thought, how is that possible? You know, that just absolutely blew me away, because I had no clue that I was in PB shape at all, or that my body still wanted to run fast.
To move quick, yeah.
It obviously suited me doing the big miles. And it just occurred to me that if I want to do a 100-miler, now is the time.
Now is the time.
Yeah, because it's so hard to arrange the childcare. That's my biggest barrier when I'm running. So actually, the fact that I just managed to stack up the 5 marathons in 5 days and get some really decent mileage, I just thought I needed to use that. So yeah, I had a look around, and the River Aire Ultra was there and still accepting places. So yeah, well, I messaged and said, I don't suppose. And then 8 days before, got this email back saying, I don't even think they said yes or no. They said, you're in. So I was like, oh, amazing. Because I marshal a lot for them. So you accrue marshal credits.
Oh, brilliant.
So I didn't even really, he was like, Rick, who runs it, was just like, you're in. Some people sort of plan for 100-milers, don't they? That's wise.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what were the logistics then? Did you, because I've done 200-milers, and one was completely, there was, the race took care of all the logistics, and the other one, you could have kind of crew meeting you on the way. How did that pan out?
So the logistics for this one weren't perfect for your first 100-miler, because the first 50 milers, the first 50 miles, there was no support.
Oh.
So actually, just before the race, then they did say, do you know, guys, we feel a bit sorry for you, because it started in the evening. It started at 5 p.m. They said, we feel a bit bad about you being out all night on your own. So we'll put one aid station at 25 miles, so you can have some water then. But until then, so it was, 0 to 25 miles, nothing, then one aid station then, and then nothing again for maybe 30 miles.
Oh, that's a long way.
Yeah, it is. Well, the way that the race is run, so the River Aire Ultra is actually a 50-mile race, and it starts on the Saturday morning from Leeds running out to Malham. But they'd offered it as a 100-miler, but you would start in Malham at the end, run to the start, and then run with everybody else to the finish, if that makes sense. So it's out and back.
Yeah. Done one of those. Won't do it again.
It's like a whole different mental challenge, isn't it? But obviously that meant that I was going to need some support overnight. We were talking before, Gary, about I'd posted on an ultra running forum and asking for advice, and there were all sorts of comments about filtering water and things, and lots of it's next to the River Aire, but lots of it's next to the Leeds Canal as well. And I was thinking, well, I'm not going to be
filtering that. I'm not even triple filtered. Not going near that water.
No, I can't imagine. So I had 8 days to sort of find some support runners overnight, which is where you really need to be a member of a running club, because I just posted in my running club, guys, apparently I'm doing 100 miles in a week's time and there's very little support overnight. What I need is just some humans with me, and all you need is to give me 2 500ml bottles of water. And I think I said, if you had an apple juice or some salt and vinegar crisps, then I'll love you forever. Yeah. All I need you to be is a human with 2 bottles of water and to run with me for a bit.
The human bit can be, water's just...
The salt and vinegar crisps is the essential part in that sentence.
Oh my goodness, salt and vinegar snackerjacks. Who knew? I thought I didn't like rice cakes. That was a revelation.
Yeah.
You learn so much. But so two people. So in the end, I had 3 people overnight, 2 of whom I'd never met before. And I was thinking, the race were calling them night safety runners. And actually they'd advised us to arrange night safety runners because of the timing of it and the location. It meant that we were running into the centre of Leeds in the early hours of, so Friday turning into Saturday morning, along the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. And there's sort of some stretches along there that you know, I wish I wasn't saying it, but lots of women don't feel safe running on their own in the daytime. There have been attacks along there. So they were advising night safety runners for us anyway, and we sort of needed them for the logistics of hydration and things. But yeah, two of the people that stepped forwards I'd never met before. And I was thinking, do I feel more or less safe meeting a stranger in a field that's going to definitely stay with me for hours than being on my own? I was trying to figure it out. Oh my goodness, aren't people amazing? It's one of the best things I've ever done, and one of the biggest things I'll take away from that 100-miler, just how there are these people in the world who want to help you, who just want to be there just to help you achieve something. And they're just happy to do it off their own back, you know. And I was saying, oh, let me pay for your taxi, and they wouldn't have any of it. They just wanted to be there and wanted to help. And I'll be eternally grateful. So yeah, Damien.
And through the middle of the night as well.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere, you know. They were amazing, absolutely incredible. And so on the forum, when I'd been asking for advice, people had been saying, just be prepared to have dips overnight. You'll have, you know, between 2 or 3 or sort of up to 6 or 8 low points. And I didn't have any, not one overnight. It was fun. I just felt invincible. And I think it's because of the support runners. It just was slick, you know. They were there when I needed them. I wasn't waiting for them. They had what I needed. And yeah, it felt like the sub 2, you know. They were sort of they were in front of me, and I was facing me, and it was amazing. It just felt brilliant.
There's something special about running through the night, and especially seeing the sunrise. Oh wow, that's such a treat. Yeah,
we had a gorgeous sunset, but we didn't have a sunrise. It was grey. But even then, just being able to take your head torch off, I was like, oh, I can move my eyebrows. Like, oh, look at this.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, so that was really nice. But then I decided to put a Parkrun in my 100-miler.
In which world do you live? Because, I mean, I get annoyed in a 100-miler or even in a 50-miler if I have to do 200 meters off course to go to the check.
So how did you Google this? So you knew, I don't know the logistics, but was the park, did you run through a park and then there was a park run there? You knew that was going to happen, or do you have to physically get in a car to a park and then come back to where you left the course?
Yeah, so again, different race, all races are different. You should always contact the race organisers, because I know that you'd be disqualified in some races for leaving the course. The team at the Punk Panther are amazing. I'd contacted them, cleared everything. But my original plan was we were running through Roberts Park in Saltaire, and there's a park run there. So that's great. It was all going to be perfect. And then in these 8 days, I checked. I just have a look at the volunteer roster just to see who's going to be run director on the day. I was going to drop them a message. And I saw that it was cancelled. It was just blank, 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 blank on the on that day. And World Heritage Day. Oh, I'm never going to celebrate it again.
Damn you, England, with your heritage.
I know, right? Didn't even start till midday. Anyway, I'm not bitter. But so that really messed up my plan. And there was one other, Myrtle Park Run, I could have got to if I was a much faster runner, but I'm not. So I couldn't make it in time. So what I did is I'd planned 3 extraction points that I would, because obviously when you're ultra running, you're not next to a road. So it's not like somebody can just come and pick you up at the right time and take you to a park run. So the rules in the Punk Panther race are that you can, as long as you leave the course and return at the exact extraction point, then that's fine. You're not disqualified. And as long as you don't gain any benefit, well, I was going to run some extra miles. So that definitely wasn't going to benefit me. So that was fine. So I'd planned 3 points, depending on my pace, where a friend could come and pick me up and then take me to Parkrun. And that was great. And actually, I got to the 3rd of them, which was a real mental boost, because I'd got as far as my best case scenario when I was picked up for Parkrun. Yeah. But then Parkrun, oh my goodness, I don't advise doing it in 100 miler.
No,
we're not going to. I can say we're not going to.
Oh, never.
So many people have been like, really, Nicola, did you not know that?
I just can't imagine like the tunnel focus it takes me to get myself through these Uber.
I'm all business on the race.
Yeah, I could not. I mean, if I stepped out of that tunnel, I'd be back home.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
I mean, it completely ruined my race. It completely ruined it because I was flying on the trails to get to that third extraction point, really focused, felt great. The dawn chorus, I'd run through the night feeling strong. I was just, I felt at one with running and the trails, and I was really, really loving it. And at the time, you're probably, it's trail running, probably only 11-minute miling or 12-minute miling or something. But then to pick myself up out of that and put myself into a crowd of 300 to 400 people, and some of them are 5 or 6 minute miling, all of a sudden it's a massive change in perspective. And because I hadn't slept, I found it really disorientating to be around so many people.
How far into the 100 miler are you now? When you
66 miles.
Extraction. Okay.
66 miles, yeah.
It must have just been like an overload on your senses for that.
That's exactly what it was. It was total sensory overload. Yeah. So the first lap, I mean, I love Parkrun. I absolutely. I always say, if you cut me open, I'll be Parkrun. Parkrun is my religion. But after the elation of making it there, because the logistics for planning to make it to Parkrun were actually really difficult. So after I'd got there and we ran it's a 3-lapper, and I ran the first lap, and then I just started to feel so terrible. And you just feel like you're running through treacle. And even though I'm probably running still quite well for 66 miles into an ultra, you don't feel it compared to all the people that are flying past you. It just, in every way, it was a really bad idea. And also, I'd taken my pack off to get in the car to strap myself in, and I didn't remember to put it back on for Parkrun. I wasn't thinking, I need my ultra pack. There's no kit requirements for a Parkrun.
Good check.
But it meant I didn't have. It was probably about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
With no food, no water, 66 miles in. When I've just run, it was probably I ran a decent 9 miles to get to that third extraction point.
Yeah.
And that just, it all started falling apart from that point, really. Because that just wasn't wise. I think if I'd have had my pack, I might have been able to get back on track a bit better. But I really struggled. Once I rejoined the race, then I just really struggled to get going again. We've established I was never going to quit, but it was a real struggle after that. Yeah.
So was it a struggle for the rest of the race? Did you come round again, or was it a proper?
I was longing for those waves.
Yeah.
This is just a dip. It's just a dip. And there's a huge hill, Thwaites Brow. It's a cycling hill that any cyclist in Yorkshire will know. I think it's about, I can't remember the stats, but it's a big cobbled hill. It's massive. And I was thinking, I think it was about 5 or 6 miles I had to get to that. That was the next checkpoint. I just thought, just get there. Even if you have to walk there, just get there. Mentally, that's overcome a barrier. And then it's all downhill from there, apart from the last sort of 5 miles, which are horrific. But just, just get on with it. And I got there. I did walk most of the way there. And I thought about having a sleep. And I probably should have got a bit more advice about whether people have a 10-minute nap or not, because I'm really thinking in retrospect that would have sorted me out. Because I think by the time most people go through the night, most ultras start in the morning, don't they? So the night would normally be the latter stages, and you sort of just wanting to get to the end. But because then this started in the evening and I'd already missed a full night of sleep, and then had a whole day ahead of me, I just needed 10 minutes sleep. And I do think at the top of Thwaites Brow, I should have stopped for a 10-minute nap, but I didn't.
You probably wouldn't do it again, though. If you did another 100 miler, you'd probably still go, no, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, well, I think if I did another 100 miler, I'd probably be going for sub 24 anyway, so I probably wouldn't want to be sleeping. But also, I think I would do one that started in a morning.
Yeah.
because I was saying at the start that I'm pretty tired. And I think the hardest thing for me has been the logistics of running 100 miles that starts in an evening is that you run through the night and then you run through the day and then you finished and it's evening. So when you sleep then, that's a night's sleep you should have had. There's no space to make up on any sleep. Whereas if you start 100 miler in the morning, you run through the day, through the night, you'll have a nap that next day, then be awake and then have a night's sleep. So there's that opportunity for, you know, to catch up on that sleep that you've missed.
I think the Lakeland 100's an evening start, and that day before is just horrendous because you probably had a bad night's sleep before anyway because you're so anxious. Then logistics of getting to the lakes for me, you're all adrenaline, and then you've got this evening start, and then like you say, you've had one bad night's sleep, then you've missed another day's sleep completely, and you are exhausted. Was it busy? So you did the first 50, would have been really quiet. Probably, I think, was the 5 people started?
Yes, something like that. We had a staggered start. And a few people didn't turn up. So there were 3 of us that started at the time that I started. So then, you don't know who else is going to turn up or not turn up.
And then the second 50, did that feel relatively busy, or was it super lonely?
No, it was heartbreaking.
Oh,
so while I went to Parkrun, I missed everybody. So I didn't see. So in my head, it was going to be that. I was going to be cheering people, chatting to people. I had a few friends running the 50.
Yeah.
I missed them all. Actually, not them all. 2. I saw 2 runners. I overtook 2 runners as I went on. But that was heartbreaking. I was so excited about that part of the format. But yeah, I wrecked that by going to a parkrun.
Anything particularly strange that you saw, or anything strange happen en route? Anything random? And I know you're not a fan of cows. I've seen a YouTube video. Do you
know, one of the hardest things, which I'd not anticipated at all, and I guess it's probably a mindset you need to take into a 100 miler, is that there'll be things that you struggle with that you cannot anticipate. Frogs. There were frogs.
Wow.
All night, all over the floor.
Oh no! Did you tread on?
No, I did not tread on one.
Very
but
good.
The amount of energy that it took, you were like dancing around the frogs, and that you'd go for a foot placement and they'd hop and you'd have to
sing.
And it was really difficult.
Sounds like a nightmare.
I mean, I love frogs, but just not under my feet when you're just aware of the energy that it's taking, and I'm a vegetarian and love animals, and it would have wrecked my race if I'd have killed a frog. I just couldn't have done it. So
I wonder what it was about
that was really hard. Frogs were really hard. And the cows. Oh, and I mean, I need to not be scared of cows, but I'm scared of running through cow fields.
Yeah.
Cows don't really like you to run through their fields, do they? So, and I think there's 2 camps of thought, because half the people are like, it's completely fine, what are you worried about? And then there's the other people that actually see the danger. Wasn't it last year a lady on the Hardmoors got trampled by a cow, and she was all right? I mean, obviously she had to stop the race and go to hospital, but she didn't die. But I mean, even that, I don't want to be trampled by a cow, and I don't think that's unreasonable.
It's not a nice way to go, is it?
Yeah, and there were a couple of cow fields that actually were really hard, but just because they were so big and there were big groups of young cows everywhere.
Yeah, when they're around the gate too, and you're like,
you're like, what am I going to do?
Guys, this is awkward, but I kind of need to get through this bit. And they're like,
move. But I've realised that they don't like. I'm a big fan of my running poles, and cows don't actually like the sound of if you tap your poles together.
Interesting.
So actually, if it gets to a gate or they're coming too close, and I just tap my poles together, that actually does help. And they don't like it, and they seem to run away. So that's good. But yeah, there were a couple of cow fields that I just really struggled with. Although actually, I was 95 miles in, and I'm not going to say where I was because it's a lovely place normally, but there were these 2 drunk men. It was a Saturday afternoon. So yeah, late on a Saturday afternoon, 2 drunk men, and they just started urinating and decided to show me that they were urinating. And I really didn't need to. I was
what is wrong
when you're like, I'm just trying to run, guys. I'm just trying to run. And actually they'd sworn, oh, it's one of those bleeping runners. And it just felt like a bit of a hostile situation to be in. On no sleep at 95 miles in. I just thought,
so
guys, I just want to run. Please, can I just run, you know?
Yeah.
And then the cow field was next. And I think...
a few low points. I
just thought, you know, because I'd gone off, they were by the gate, and I'd had to skirt around the field and try to find this gate, then at the gate and the next gate. And it was just too much. I just thought, please, can I just run? And I was aware that by all this extra time, I was going to go into another sunset and going to have to get my head torch back out. And it's just a bit of a knock, isn't it? When you think, it's a nice sunset, I'm going to finish in this sunset. I don't know if either of you have been to Malham, but Malham is absolutely incredible, and it finishes by Malham Tarn, and I was really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
So the realization that all these extra things and the extra distance is, you're going to finish in the dark, and yeah, that was hard.
How did the finish feel when you got there?
Not as good as you think.
Any tears?
No tears. Just some like trying to, because I was the only female that did the race, then I won, you know. So I was given the trophy, this lovely slate trophy, and trying to smile and things. I think I wanted to cry not sad tears, it's just like relief. It was the relief to be at the finish line, because obviously it's a lot further than I'd ever run before. But trying to smile for this moment. Yeah, but it's great afterwards, because you look back and that's what you want to remember. You know, you don't want to be sat there crying at the finish. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The team were brilliant, but it was overwhelming. It is 100 miler is a sensory overload in lots of different ways, isn't it?
I think it's awesome. First female, just snuck under 28 hours. I think it's awesome. You did allude to sub 24 hours, so you haven't been put off towing the line for 100 miler. Have you penciled one in?
I haven't yet. I'm interested to know your thoughts, because a friend of mine, we weren't racing each other to 100 miles. Let's say we were, because then I've won, but but we both won 100 miles this year. Actually, she's just done a backyard ultra, but she only got to 66 miles and didn't have a good one, but she's doing Endure 24.
Okay.
But we've had a bit of a chat about these sort of looped races, because I'm not sure. I think it's definitely the easiest way to get sub 2400, because you're not carrying any kit.
I think for 100 miler though, if you're not asking our opinion, but I'll give you mine, is I think in the spirit of 100 miler, it is a much better experience to do one where everybody's in the same boat, everybody's doing the same distance, you suffer together, you make friendships out on the course, you run with someone for like 20 miles, you find out deep, meaningful things about them that never otherwise. And that experience you only get if you're all in the same bucket together. So, and it sounded like from like what we've talked about, you thrive off that. And also if you want to be a little bit competitive, mainly not whoever turns up, but also to get that sub 24 hour, doing it in a proper 100-mile format, I think you do really well.
Centurion, they've got a few smoking fast ones.
Autumn 100 Centurion is a really good one for a fast 100, but because it's out and back, it's 4 loops of out and back 13 miles, but you go back to your kit at the end of every marathon. So you only need, and then it has a checkpoint at 7 or 8 miles and a checkpoint at the turnaround. So you're really well supported, but you see everybody loads because
that's a really good format.
And you see the same people like crossing, and as I make up the names of all the people. There's a lady with pink shorts. There's you make up sort of and I really enjoyed that one. So I'd say maybe that's in October if you're thinking of doing another one this year. You alluded a little bit at the start that you're still quite tired. How's recovery been post 100 miler? It sounds like you went very low with your nutrition, and I think when you go that low and then you carried on the recovery, you're adding weeks on your recovery because your body has gone deeper than it's ever gone before for its energy.
I think my sodium levels really dropped because I never need to wee when I'm racing ever. I'm just so sweaty. I don't need to. But
I get that.
Sorry, I've just got a cat jumped on my lap. Yeah, so I think my sodium levels dropped really, really low because I never need to wee when I'm running. I'm like super sweaty runner, never need to wee. And then I was feeling like I needed a wee every like half an hour. And it was a really hot day and I definitely was not hydrated enough to warrant that. So I was a bit worried about that. And yeah, after the park run, I had a gap in my nutrition. And if I did a 100-miler again, I'd definitely use some sports nutrition. Because I'm somebody that can eat anything while I'm running, I just chuck like a cheese sandwich in my bag and think, or hot cross buns. And I think, oh, that's fine. Perfect. I can't run when I get really hangry. So I can't just do gels or anything like that. I hate stuff like that. I need some proper food. But I just got so complacent that I just thought these like jelly sweets and hot cross buns were going to be fine. And there's so much amazing sports nutrition. I don't know why it didn't occur to me. I was so wrapped up in the logistics that I needed to arrange with the night support runners and the parkrun logistics that I just didn't give enough thought to nutrition. So I'd definitely do that on my next 100-miler. That was a massive take-home message. And I've not planned for any food to be at the end. My partner met me at the end and he thought I would be finishing before I did. So we thought that the pubs would still be open. And I finished at whatever it was, like 9 o'clock or whatever. And yeah, the pubs were closed.
Oh, you've got to work on your plan B food.
You need the recovery. I have a recovery of this yellow sack I've had for like 12 years. In it is a soft shell, a hat, and then various bits of food, which and also is in there is dog poo bags because I'm always sick. And so then the safety bag to just be sitting there going, I can't get up to the loo because my legs are so stiff. So I'm just eating wet wipes are in there and like a can of Coke. And my husband just like hands that to me at a distance and goes, right, how are you?
Oh no.
But it's fine. Like I think all these things, you're looking back on the race and we can all be snooty and go, you didn't plan that. But it's all part of the journey that everybody does this. And as long as then that you're already going, well, next time I'm gonna do that. But until you put yourself in that position, often if I'd said to you, no, you need to try these fancy gels with this salt tablet and this, and you'd have been like, yeah, whatever, I've got my hot cross buns.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've we've been lucky enough to be being supplied with some precision hydration. So I've been going more like your hot cross buns, your jelly babies, and eating calories. But then in my drinks, I've really kind of upped the electrolytes. I think it's like a 1500 concentrate, so it's super duper strong as far as electrolytes go. But it's like an effervescent drink, so it's quite pleasant to drink. But all the calories are. It could be a sandwich or anything like that. So
I think that is the way, I think.
Yeah, I like that way.
Yeah, I think if I did it again, that is exactly what I'd do because I was just drinking water and then putting in a couple of electrolyte tabs every now and then and not nowhere near enough, sports drinks. That's what I needed.
I heard somebody say on another podcast or on Instagram or something where like you should never the sports marketing endurance fuel industry, they spend all their funding goes into making their products like as easily digestible and exactly what you need. So take them. Do you know what I mean? They're like, make it easy for yourself. And just because often I think like, oh no, it's too expensive, or oh no, I can get my calories from, something a little bit. And they're like, no, they are providing you with exactly what you need, calories, electrolytes, use it. Use it or lose it.
But I think one of the things is though that it's really good. I'm definitely not beating myself up for it because it's really nice to know you can still get to the end. You don't need these fancy things. They're just going to make you feel a hell of a lot better. They're going to make you perform better. But actually, to have it in the back of my mind, to know that if my drop bag isn't there, or if, you can survive. You can still get to the end on what you've got. So actually, that's a really positive, strong message that I'll take home from it. Next time I totally use all the things though, but
well, it's got to be a problem solver. That comes with quite a lot. Yeah, I noticed you've got a YouTube channel. It's pretty very running orientated. And I was so impressed that you filmed while you actually did the 100-miler too. Eddie and I, we said we're all business when it comes to a race. How the hell did you do that? And why?
When I'm out on the trails, then I mean, you've probably got the impression that I quite enjoy a good chat. I like talking, and the trails can get a bit lonely. I do love the peace and the solitude and just me and nature, but I do like a chat. So we've got a Parkrun podcast with me now, and I've been podcasting for years, and we've been talking about YouTube is sort of the future medium. People are turning more towards YouTube, aren't they, as ways of sharing things?
I love a good YouTube video.
Yeah.
I love a good, because almost more than like a normal TV thing, because it can dial into exactly what you want to see. And
exactly
it's
that.
Real raw insight into like people's racing or their general life. It's a bit like spying on someone. It's like reading someone's diary. If they do it well, but set to good music.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to do it. My intention isn't to do that as a job. It's to do it for fun. And when you do a race and people are like, oh, I watched your video from the last time, just to as my race recce, because I live too far away. And it's a way of instantly bonding with other people. It's actually really nice for that. And just for memories and sharing. I mean, I wish I had more videos of Ben. So for Poppy to have for the future, then I really love filming our running adventures. But
what's it called, the YouTube channel, if people...
So Nicola Runs. Nicola Runs. Nice and simple. But on a 100-miler, I mean, the main problem was I had to carry such a big battery pack. It did get hard to remember to film stuff at the end when I was tired. And also, to remind yourself to film the lows as well as the highs, because it's quite easy to remember to film the highs and be like, oh no, the sunset's really lovely. But actually, I'd like rested against this fence after the two men incident and then the cow field. And once I'd got out of that cow field, I just rested on this fence, and I just thought, oh no, this is what I need to film. These are the realities of running 100 miles. Because as much as it's nice, like I've vlogged the London Marathon, and people send you messages and say, oh, I never thought I could do a marathon, but now I've watched how much fun you had, or you were chatting, or, it's not just about racing hard. I think I could do one, and that's great. But you also want to reflect the realities of something like a 100-miler, especially. So, yeah. But I mean, I think it's fun. It's fun. I've only fallen over once while filming.
How do you film on a handheld?
Yeah, it's just a mini DJI handheld. It's super small and light. People are always really impressed when they see it because they can't believe it's camera.
Quick 5 questions, right? Oh, I've got quite a few, more than 5 actually, but we'll see. Okay, favourite parkrun course?
Oh, Fountains Abbey.
Oh yeah, I've been to Fountains Abbey, but not as a parkrun.
Oh, it's stunning.
Is there? I love a coffee and a cake after any run. Which parkrun should I head to? What's got the best calf?
Oh, that's really hard. Oh, that's one I can't do as a quick fire. I don't know, anywhere that serves a chip butty. That's what I want after my parkrun.
It's an early call for a chip butty at.
Well, exactly. So lots of cafes don't. So they lose a point for that. Anywhere that's going to fry me chips at like 10 in the morning. Amazing.
That sounds. I'll always have it. It's never too early for a chip butty, is it?
Exactly.
Judgy there.
No, but I'm vegetarian, so it's my version of a bacon sandwich in my defense.
I was thinking about that because we went camping at the weekend and my husband cooked everyone's bacon sandwiches, and I'm a veggie too, and I was like, what? I had a piece of bread. I was like,
yeah, that's not fun.
This isn't fun. What do I do? Like, you put some butter on it. Butter and ketchup. I was like, oh.
See, put the chips in there. It's now amazing.
Give it a bag of crisps. What's crisp sandwich?
Oh, Gary, you and I.
Oh no, I agree. I'm with Gary on that. Yes,
crisp sandwich. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird for sure.
Early bird. Parkrun tourism bucket list destination, one you haven't done.
Oh, so I need to go to Bear Island because on the With Me Now podcast we did the World Cup of Parkrun Beauty and they won. So I need to visit there, but actually also South Africa. The coastline of South Africa has some incredible parkruns on the beach, and they regularly get more than 1,000 people. And I just think that would be a real experience. So there's loads there that I'd love to do.
Okay, night before any race in the world, and the race director gets on the phone, gives you a call, you've got a race entry. which race would it be?
Ooh, am I ready though, or not ready?
You are race ready.
Normal state, so always ready. The state of readiness.
Yeah.
Do you know, hadn't heard until recently about the Everest trail race, and it's so expensive though, isn't it? But it's got like, is it 28,000 meters?
Yeah,
It's like, 28 kilometers of climb. 28 kilometers.
It's all expensive.
So I mean, if they're paying,
they're paying. Yeah.
If they're paying, it's that one.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like that choice. You could have gone, I was like, don't go safe. I like, you've gone big, you've gone massive, you've gone a really expensive. I like it.
I mean, either that or, which, because I think I'd actually love that one, or the Scottish £15,000.
Oh, no.
Everybody would laugh at you if you did. Yeah, but imagine doing it, because then you'd know. See, we don't know. I feel like everybody in Ultra World is like judging. We are all judging. Yeah. So actually, if I'm not paying, and you wouldn't get the stick if you weren't paying. So everyone's like, why pay 50 grand?
You'd have to make sure everyone knew that when you're vlogging.
I'd make a headband, I've not paid
this, it's a freebie.
Yeah.
So I think you'd get there and you'd be like, I'm okay. They'd be like, so you're right, do you need this? You'd be like, yeah, it's actually fine.
Oh no, I'd want the massage. No, massage me, please.
My watch is a bit scratched. I need another one.
I need a new Garmin.
Can you imagine that, like a Michelin star meal and a powerboat to the start of the race?
Yeah.
You'd be like, where's my chip sandwich? They'd be like, no, well, it'll take the chef a while because
they wouldn't have a chip sandwich because they've got their salmon mousse and nobody wants the salmon mousse.
They'd have the double fried chips. That's what they'll do there.
They would.
It's double fried. You'd be like,
and I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be any old men with their bits and bobs hanging out.
No, yeah.
Have them removed. They'd have them removed off the course.
Unless that's like a special bit, that you've asked for.
That'll cost you an extra 2,000.
Yeah.
All right, last question. When you're doing a park run, are you a plodder or are you going for a PB every time?
Oh, I'm both. So I absolutely get just as much enjoyment out of slogging it, which I did on Saturday because Poppy was on a sleepover. And a couple of weeks ago, Poppy got a bee sting and had an allergic reaction to a bee sting. So we walked the whole thing. She didn't say no, Mummy. So big thumbs up for me.
Yes.
That, what a trooper. She was like, I think I'm going to have to walk today, Mummy. I was like, absolutely, sweetheart, absolutely. I was like, I'm amazed just doing it. But we walked the whole thing and I've got just as much enjoyment out of that. So yeah, I'm rarely in the middle. I'm off, when I'm solo, I'm going for a PB, or I'm just Poppy's pace, which is playing games and having all the enjoyment of running that kids should get.
Oh, she deserves a duffer cap, Poppy. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
My sort of girl. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing your incredible journey. Gary, who seems to find these amazing guests, will keep his ears to the ground about that next 100 miler. And we'd love you to Sub 24, Project Sub 24.
Definitely, I want it.
Shoot us any ideas about races. We've probably done them or known someone that has done them and gone, oh no, don't go down that way.
Oh yeah, okay.
Number 3 should never be revisited.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've really loved chatting to you both.
This went fast. It's been a blast. My cheek, I've got the achy cheek test.
My red cheek really got red to this morning. But good luck with your recovery and hopefully we'll speak to you soon.
Cool.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye. Oh, as always, Eddie, I love it. I didn't really know Nicola, but you scratch the surface and you just find these wonderful people. And she reached out afterwards. She's another YouTuber. And she reached out and offered me some advice on my channel admin. Sorry.
Look, Gary, no, I know you haven't asked for this advice, but this is what you need to do. We will pop all her links into the show notes if you want to go and check her out. What a lady. Good luck with everything in the future, Nicola. Coming up. Are you just every week going to just talk about all the races that you're doing?
Oh yeah, that's it. Well, no, I've got a couple of weeks off before St Cuthbert's after this, but yeah, Durham Dales for me and for a few others. It's a long distance walking event, Eddie, so it's quite a generous.
Love it.
Pine Peas at the end, I think if memory is correct.
Following the paper route. Find the left bush after the cross over the stile towards the pig.
Everyone's clamoring for GPX files, aren't they? They just ignore that until they get lost.
Oh no, you can't have to do that. Takes all the fun out of it.
I've done it before. I think I've done it 3 times, so hopefully I don't need a map. I shouldn't get lost. Spoiler alert, I've won it twice.
You're a defending champion. Oh my God, this is
I might be different. I'm not. Crikey, if I win a race,
you can't win an LDWA event. This is terrible.
No, they're like Parkrun's out there. You don't win them. But if I come,
got a few of them though.
If I come first, it's not a strong course record. Put it that way. So we'll see who turns up. But again, same for me. I'm just going to do that exactly what I did last week, and it will be the only way I'll ever end up in a race. And see if it's that last mile and there's something on. But other than that, the day will just be as it is. But yeah, it's 50k or a 25k. So a decent day out for everybody. Hampstead Forest, it's really lovely. You've got Middleton Teesdale, arguably the best checkpoint I've ever been in, the checkpoint of Middleton Teesdale. You could quite easily spend a good hour in there on feasting on sandwiches and cakes. Just a really, really good day out. Not a load of money, and I think it's the 40th this year. Ooh, I could be lying there with that fact. But yeah, can't wait for that, and best of luck to everybody. Hopefully see some friends out on the trails.
Guy from the podcast on the trails. We've got the biggest race in the Scottish calendar, probably. The West Highland Way race starts at Milngavie Railway Station. Have you ever been up there?
Oh, love to.
1 o'clock on Saturday morning, and you run the West Highland Way route to Fort William, basically. It's 95 miles and just under 15,000 feet of ascent. Some strong course records on that. Some big names have run that race. You have to have your own crew, and they follow you with midge nets, basically, on their heads all the way.
That's the only reason why I've never done it, because the admin of it.
The admin of it. I would love to do it.
Yeah.
But good luck if you're doing that. Good luck if you're listening as you're running. We're thinking of you. We will read the results out next week, no doubt. Well, you're just LDWAing up, ordering a new drone.
Yeah, no. I wonder if I don't think it's going to turn up in time. I got that race, and I think I'm just going to do the same as last week. I did 4 times the 10 minutes. I think I was talking about this. I only did the 1 session, but I think I'll do I've got 5 times a K. And I'm maybe just like a 10-minute threshold pace. But other than that, it's quite an easy way. But yeah, 30 miles on Saturday. But again, if I can run on Sunday, that will be awesome. I've just got it, honestly, Eddie, my food choice. I need to really, I'll keep ticking the weeks down. Like, saying, I've got 6 weeks to go, 8 weeks to go. And
5 weeks now, isn't it? 5 weeks to go.
7, 6.5, 7. I just don't think anything's going to change. It is what it is. But more of the same, just trying to improve the quality, not the quantity, the quality of what I'm sticking in my mouth. What about yourself?
Me too. I'm going to improve the quality of what I'm sticking in my mouth. Gary! Well, I'll be... on the colour of his ability. I think that myself.
Drag it down again, Eddie.
Always set the bar low. I actually recorded another podcast this week, Gary. I'm really
eating on me.
I know. It wasn't the same, but they were like, "What do you how do you feel like you achieve every day?" And so I just set the bar really low. You always achieve if you have very low standards. Yeah. You can see their faces going, that's not quite why we invited you on to be this like motivational person. I just have really low standards basically, and so was you. Anyway, build the running, keep yourself. I'm at that dangerous stage of injury recovery where I'm not really injured anymore. It's a bit like when you've had a baby and you can keep going, I've just had a baby as an excuse, and I still do that, and my youngest is about to be 7. So I just have to be careful not to push it too far and keep up with my injury rehab and protocol and my calf races, which I'm going to go and do later this afternoon. Hopefully this time next week I'll have done a little bit more long running. We've got something called a canicule, which is a French word for heat wave. Heading this way. So it'll be early morning dog jogs and late evening. I love running late evening here, though, when it gets that little bit cooler. The nice thing about being in the mountains is it gets very intensely hot during the day, but then the minute the sun goes behind wherever you are, it drops right down again and cool. And because we live by a river, so the dogs will enjoy that.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the kids to a little trail race on Sunday. Kids trail race. Eddie, do not get too competitive.
Oh my goodness, I can just imagine.
Get away from your kids at the trail race. Okay, see that guy looks good. He looks good. Stick with him. Well, I'm taking two. One's playing in a football tournament, and I've got the other two. So I thought the sort of sport they do these like multi-sports they're called here, because in the French system they don't do PE at school. Okay. All your sport is done outside of school, so they do this like multi-sport after club after school where they learn your ball sports and all that sort of stuff like that. Anyway, this guy's organising these trail races for kids. Haven't looked at the distance yet, but my kids will be carved up. They will be fueled. They will be sporting Chia Charge.
Chia Charge, precision hydration.
I'll make sure they're on the front of that line. I'm pretty sure the oldest one, he loves it, but he's not that as competitive. I'm pretty sure Evie, who is basically me as a 7-year-old, will be busting a move to do as well as she can. So yeah, they've not actually. I'm quite bad. Often in France, there are kids' versions of your trail race when you're running your trail race.
Okay.
Normally within the town, they've got like the kids' version, but I never let the kids do it because I'm like, no, it's all about me. I don't have time to. So anyway, I'm going to go through that. Life carries on. Life seems so busy. Does anyone else feel like that? That life is just so busy and the days just fly by with some low achieving results, but that's all that we can ask, really, isn't it?
I'd love to slow it down a bit if we could. Especially
as my kids, like my youngest is now, we're doing her last party when they get to about 7. This is going to be the last birthday party. This is going to be the last birthday party that we do. After that, they could do something with their mates, but not a party. They're a bit old for that then. Oh, sorry.
We've got proms coming up.
You've got... Oh, Gary, you're going to be emotional.
Oh, don't.
Anyway, that's it. We're done.
Eddie, I really enjoyed that today. I've had tears of laughter.
It's my highlight of my Tuesday. Is our Zoom meetups. I look forward to talking to you. I think even if, oh my God, imagine when the podcast has to finish. I might have to watch again.
We could do the Zwift race. You'd rinse me.
We could do the Zwift. Yeah, you know. It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter. And also you can't because it's a machine. Like I've got a really crappy bike with no gears. It's all just about getting a really red face and sweating. Like everything in life, isn't it?
I need to match my jumper. That's my
best things happen when you're red faced, sweaty, and out of breath. Okay, on that note, let's finish the show.
Oh my goodness, what number was it? It was episode 94. Thanks for listening, everybody, and thank you to Chia Charge for continuing to support the show, sending bars to guests, competition winners, keeping Eddie and I fueled in our adventures, and generally being an all-round super support to everyone out on the trails. My name is Gary Thwaites.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And let's run to the hills.